Alright, I thought I'd share what I'm doing with this today for you guys. Nothing special, but just rendering out a little bit more beeswax. So what we've got here, these are all the big wheels that I get when I melt down my beeswax for the first time. So it's got, you know, dead bees, it's got cappings, it's got, or not cappings, sorry, cocoons, it's got dirt, little bits of wood, all sorts of crap in it that I get from when I do cutouts. And so the first render that I do, just melt it down just like that. And then I go through with my little sieve here and just take little dips out, press it with my hive tool, and try to squeeze as much wax and water out as I can, and then throw out all the crap. And then when it melts down, it's all homogeneous mixture, then I pour it into a 5-gallon bucket. And when it sets up, of course, the wax flows to the top, and I'm left with this chunk of wax. But you can see it's still got a lot of dead bees in it, for whatever reason, stuff that just didn't sink, floated instead. And it's got some propolis here on the bottom. So what I'm doing now, I've got all these big chunks. I'm going to take all these chunks and melt them all down into one bigger chunk. And as I do that, we'll get the same effect, only on a bigger scale. So we'll get heavier stuff will sink to the bottom, lighter stuff floats to the top. See, this is a lot lighter wax than the other stuff. The other stuff's a lot darker, but it doesn't really matter. I just mix it all into the same batch. I don't bother grading it, you know, light pine wax versus heavier wax or darker wax, whatever. To me, it's just beeswax is beeswax. These two bigger chunks here, I'm going to break them in half if I can, just so they melt a little easier. The smaller chunks are too thick. I actually can't break them. But anyway, we're just going to melt it all down here in my pot with some water again. Same process. Let it cool, let it chill out a little bit, and when it solidifies, I'll knock all the crap off the bottom. And basically, I'll just keep redoing this over and over until I get a beeswax block that doesn't have any big chunks of stuff in it anymore. And then I'll take that and I'll melt it down in my turkey oven that I've got, a little electric roaster oven, and I'll melt it down and let it melt through paper towels, and those paper towels will catch any of the fines, and so I should be left with a nice big block of clean, you know, finished grade sort of beeswax. So then when I get that done, I got that nice pure block, then I'll pour that into a little cast and make little 1 pound or half pound ingots for sale or for storage, whatever. So anyway, that's the plan right now, but just thought I'd show that to you. As far as, you know, you have to do it again and again and again, but it's an easy enough process for somebody like me. I've got the kids running around to keep them away from the hot burner, but you know, I can do this. The kids can be in here, you know, playing on the deck with the toys or messing with the dogs, whatever, and I can have this going just kind of passively, because all I'm doing is heating it up to a boil. Really not even, ideally not to a boil, but just heating it up so it's good and hot until it all melts into a homogeneous mixture, and then just shut it off and let it cool. And you just keep doing that, change your water, scrape off the debris that you can, and you just keep doing that over and over and over until you're left with a nice clean mix. So that's what I'm working on today anyway. It's just re-rendering some beeswax. So there I've got the thinner ones I was able to break up, but just thought I'd show this to you guys. Here's some more that I have. So I've been stockpiling this all year, all these little discs. Some of it's real thin because it's just, you know, a little excess. This was actually a second render, so I rendered it down and scraped off all the debris on the bottom. This was before I was squeezing it out with the sieve. So I'd melt the whole thing as one big batch and then let it all set up all at once, or else I'd pour it through a big sieve, but I wouldn't squeeze it. And then I'd be left with this block full of, you know, cappings and, or sorry, again, cocoons, dead bees, whatever, but it was a heavy, thick block, so I knew there was still wax in it, so I rendered it again, and this is the extra that I recovered. So not necessarily worth it, but, you know, hey, a couple ounces might be worth it. But anyway, I'm going to try to get as much of this as I can into this melt as well. And then I've got 2 more big blocks as well that are still, you know, they're probably 2 and 3 inches thick, but I've got bigger blocks that I didn't get melted down. So it'll be another day full of just melting and dumping. So here was my block of wax. This is probably well over a month since I shot that original video of combining all those blocks and melting them all down. I just absolutely forgot to ever make a wrap-up video and show you guys what volume there actually was. But just for reference, I mean, here's my hand. So this is a block of wax that's, you know, every bit of, I don't know, 15 or 20 pounds, and it's just solid. So showed you guys now how I have started melting my wax down and render it down for the final render in my smoker. This is not going to work in there because this is too large of a block of wax, but you can still see I've got decent bit of propolis on the bottom there, and you can still see I've got debris throughout it that I need to filter out. So I'm gonna have to find some way to chisel this thing apart or something, get it down into smaller sizes so that I can do the final render in the smoker without overtopping my dish. So anyway, just want to show you this little final follow-up, as I'm sure I promised in the original part that I would show you what it looks like in the end. But that's it. Nice big healthy block of wax. Looks like a cheese wheel or something, but I promise you, solid wax. Beautiful wax.